Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on this recorded presentation. Greater Nevada is finding a growing need for financial education from our community members, and so that is why each month we showcase a financial topic that we hope will help you on your financial well-being. After the webinar, you can expect to receive some information, including some free materials and tools to help you continue your financial goals. You can also view this webinar again or others on our GNCU YouTube channel. Just some intro housekeeping items before we get started. During the presentation, if you are tuning in live, we will offer some question and answer breaks. For now, we just ask that you please place your cameras in the off status and place your mics on mute until these question and answer sections. During these times, if you want a more anonymous alternative, please feel free. You can send your questions to GNCU Financial Acceleration at gncu.net, and we will be able to get to you through there. All right, if you are joining us for the very first time, thank you so much and welcome. My name is Saray Helms, and I am the Financial Education Specialist here at Greater Nevada Credit Union. I am so happy to be your presenter today on a very requested topic, fraud, theft, and scam prevention. A little bit about myself before we dive in. I am a native Nevadan here, and I love the outdoors. And if I'm not outdoors, I'm usually indoors, spending some time with my cat and senior dog. And I will apologize if you hear them or see them pop up on screen at any moment during this webinar. I started my career with Greater Nevada in 2015 while studying to be an educator, and now I'm a proud financial educator and coach for our community, and I love to empower people through personal finance. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with fraud, theft, and scam prevention. All right, up on your screen, if you just have a moment to take out your camera on your phone, point it at this QR code, and that will take you to a financial well-being learning survey. As you learn with me today, I learn with you. And if you can have a few moments to just give us your feedback on what you want to learn more about, we base our webinar topics on this. So if you want to learn more about something, there is your chance. Our 2025 topics will be based on your feedback here. All right, some really quick topics that we'll be going over today. 3 quick ones, a little bit about personal information, how it can be used and gathered, and hopefully some prevention tips along with that. We're going to explore 4 common fraud, scams, and schemes, and maybe even a couple more. And then just overall tips to prevent fraud and scams of any kind. I may use those terms simultaneously. All right, so some common fraud schemes and scams that we're going to be covering over today are identity theft, just general payment fraud. I typically will refer to this as I know a guy type of story. They usually can relate to that. Our card fraud, couple of different kinds, and then social engineering and some online fraud. So let's go ahead and get started. So for the first thing I ask, what is fraud or theft? Well, it can be described as a deception made for personal gain, okay? And typically it involves gathering personal information without your consent and using it with wrongful intentions. Okay, so when I refer to personal information in this webinar, this is kind of what I'm referring to over on the left. So you see some personal information there. This could also include answers to some security questions. Okay, have you ever thought about that? And then these are considered information gold mines. Okay, so that is stuff that we really, really want to keep locked up. Now, I'm not saying that you can never share your pet's name, right? We definitely want that, but just double, we're kind of just thinking about how this information could be used in the wrong hands, right? Not necessarily saying that in trustworthy hands is it going to be used with negative intent, okay? So when I say personal information, this is all the type of information that I'm hoping you will think of, okay? All right, so who can use this type of information or who looks for this information? I don't want to instill fear in anyone, and this is just purely for informational purposes, but it we see the worst case scenarios here at the credit union. So when we see over on the left, typically they're people, fraudsters, scammers. They're people that want to gain your trust and credibility. They may even have a false identification. Okay, they may be presenting themselves either in person or online over the phone as somebody completely different, or even identifying as a business. Okay, that is not correct, right? That wouldn't be accurate. And they may very much have a believable story. Okay, they're usually going to have an answer for everything because they're tricky like that. So really just watching out. Now, something to think about is, yeah, they can be like, again, we've seen the worst case scenario here, roommates, family members, children, a hired professional coming into your home. Not to say that trustworthy people in your family of these relationships would do that, but it also can happen. Okay, so we're watching out for anything and everything. That's a big piece of information that we're going to talk about is they will try to gain your trust and credibility. Okay, so always be cautious of who you're sharing your information with. So if they have this personal information, what can they do with it once it's gathered? So some different kinds of examples on the board of in-person and virtual. Okay, so there's many different types. I'll just leave this on the screen for a little bit as you can go through, right? Lots of different ways, shoulder surfing, dumpster diving, very important to shred your mail, we'll talk about, okay? We're gonna use the term social engineering, and that's just meaning somebody's pretending to be somebody else, right? And that could happen online or in person, like we said. If you're hiring a professional and they're not with that company, that could be a form of social engineering, technically. Workplace information theft. So an untrustworthy staff member takes personal information. This could be, there was a case that I remember as an example back in the day when somebody would take your credit card back to the back, take your information down. Luckily, we have cameras and lots of things like that, and I think it's much more regulated nowadays, okay? So some virtual examples, again, that social engineering we talked about could be both. Spyware, spoofing, spamming, phishing. That's a big one we're going to talk about. This is where emails appear legitimate, but they are not. They're trying to get you to quickly take action. Click this link, open this file. We've charged your account. Hurry up and open this receipt to cancel. Usually has a sense of urgency. Okay, and then we see a lot of schmishing along with phishing. This is where they're doing this in text message form. Hurry up, your account has been compromised. Click on this link. All right, so the biggest thing I can say is pause. We're going to be calm before we're clicking on anything. Do not click on anything or open anything before we've done our due diligence in seeing if this is a legitimate email or text message or not, okay? All right, so again, how can our information be used if it's in untrustworthy hands? Well, they can try to borrow money, right? They can try to falsify loan applications under this, even purchasing property, okay? Right? They can potentially try to open bank accounts or credit cards if they have the correct information to do that. Maybe they're forging documents, right? Have you ever thought about your signature is also considered personal information? Or could they alter or even falsify and create false checks or cashier's checks? Okay. And then other legal documentation, right? IDs and other paperwork. All right, so we've made it to our first question break. This is kind of what they look like. And helping me take questions in the chat and through our email is my community impact manager, Michelle Hale, and she will helping me be controlling that chat. But I don't see any questions at this time. Please keep them coming if you have any, but we'll go ahead and continue. All right, so we're getting into these 4 common types of fraud again, right? That identity theft is coming up first, and then we're going to dive into some others. So let's take a look at identity theft. This is the first of the 4, and technically this is actually less common nowadays. We have many new things that help prevent identity theft, but it's still important to keep your personal information, right? Any of those items stored away and in trustworthy hands, right? So identity theft, some examples that can happen in person and online. So this could happen through the mail. This could happen standing too close and getting your information or listening to your information, right? You're sharing your last 4 of your social or something as a verification, and somebody standing next to you hears that. It could be written down information. It could be stolen in the dark web or a breach. We don't like to use that word, but they do happen. Okay, so those are some ways. Then we're going to go down to, those are examples. Let's look into some prevention tips, and then if it were to happen, some action steps. So some prevention tips: always check your statements very often, and if you get your paper statements, shred them properly, right? And that goes with any personal information documents that you have. Make sure we're shredding and disposing of those properly. Don't write your personal information down. Or if you do, make sure it's locked in a safe or, password vaults or things like that. Making sure we're keeping all of our personal information secure so that it doesn't get into untrustworthy hands. Some action steps, all right? Immediately, if you think you have experienced or are, afraid that you are a victim of identity theft, contact your financial institution and your creditors is going to be one of your very first steps, right? We need to shut things down, take a deeper look, potentially do some freezes, things like that. So on that note, consider a credit freeze, and you can do this before your identity information or personal information is stolen, as you can actually go to the credit bureaus and try to place a freeze on your credit. So if they get that information, they're not able to run your credit and apply for loans, all right? Checking your Social Security information. We'll actually be giving you some links to be doing that in that follow-up email if you registered for this webinar. And then use safe technology. Like I said, we have so many tools at our hands nowadays. As fraudsters get smarter, so does our technology. And so it's always this battle. So that's a big piece of advice, to see if there is new technology out there to help you. One of these is purchase alerts. I absolutely love these. If you have a Visa card, not even with Greater Nevada Credit Union, you can actually sign up for Visa alerts. So if your card's used, you can decline your card on certain transactions. So again, we'll be sending you that link. All right, question break. I'm going to take a question break after each one of these common schemes and scams that we're seeing, but I don't see any questions on identity theft, so we will go ahead and keep going. All right, I think we're going to spend a lot of time on payment fraud, or this is the I know a guy scheme. This is when somebody is posing as a business or a friend or a person in distress. They could be pretending to be your romantic partner, or gaining your trust that way, right? They're very, very clever. So if we take a look, they're typically when funds are being exchanged. So this could be the fraudster wants to send you money, or that fraudster is asking you to send them money. So those are both 2 red flags. If we do not know that person, then typically we're needing to take extra caution whether the money's going to or from us, okay? Be cautious of payments online anytime. Anytime, it's through social media. Wires are also part of this, right? We always need to be double checking who we're sending money to. Think twice when you're offered or asked for payments. This is through, again, watch out for any type of payment to you or from you. If it's through a check, through Zelle, Venmo, other payment services, or even cash, right? We had, what's the counterfeit is the word I'm looking for. Counterfeit cash used to be a big challenge for people, and we can still come across it. So even getting paid in cash, we're taking a double look at. This Zelle and Venmo fraud, we see a lot of this nowadays when either vice versa, somebody's asking to send you money, or that person is asking you to send them money through Zelle or Venmo. Now, I do want to pause and say that things like Zelle are typically third parties, and so therefore they usually are secure for that payment, but sending a payment to somebody we don't know could have repercussions, and we may not be getting that back, okay, even if we find out that it's fraud. You're verifying as soon as you send that payment through one of these services that you, in fact, do know these people and they are trustworthy and legitimate. So if we don't know them for sure and we're not meeting with them on a regular basis in person and have a good relationship with them, I would say just question. Not to say that they're not good forms of payment, right? We're just being careful with them. So some examples, online scams, you guys, this is when I see the most of this. Tons of stories, okay? They're offering a job, they're offering a prize, they need a favor from you. That classic story of your family, I have a family member held hostage, called the Prince of Nigeria to redeem them and pay your, this money. Or those romance scams. Maybe, again, anytime somebody is trying to earn our trust and either trying to get us to send them money, very clever ways. This is why I call it, I know a guy. Okay, so we call this the I know a guy scheme because any type of story that you put behind it, it's typically ending in, well, I met a guy, or I know a guy, or I know this person. Okay, but do we? How well do we know them? Again, not to offer, excuse me, to instill fear. This is just to be aware and make sure we're on our toes if we need to take quick action. Okay, so something that could happen is as soon as you may start to realize or question that this is a fraud or scam, one of the dead giveaways is that person becomes angry because now you're taking control of your finances and they're not winning. Okay, so stick strong. Don't send money right away. Stick to your gut, and if you're denying services of payment and they're getting angry, that is just reassurance that you've done the right thing, not sending them money yet. Okay. So again, with those prevention tips, stay calm, in control, don't take action right away. Let's take a little bit closer. We're going to talk a lot about this. Look for inconsistencies and gaps. That could be even in the stories that they've told us. That could be in the logo. Maybe they're pretending to be a business and they're offering us a job through social media, but it just doesn't look right. Maybe there's spelling errors. Okay, so that's what I mean by inconsistencies. We'll kind of go through those. Ask more questions, find out more information. If you are unsure, again, ask more questions. And if they're legitimate, they should not be getting angry with us, right? They will go, I completely understand. Let me help you. Not to say, right, they could always pretend to do that, but they shouldn't be getting angry with us for wanting to know more information to make ourselves safe. Action steps, again, biggest thing, stay calm, in control, don't take action right away, don't hit that send money button, and let's look closer, okay? And if you ever have questions, come into your financial institution. Any financial institution is absolutely happy to help you protect your funds, okay? We are absolutely happy to talk to them, find out some more information, and hopefully put you at ease, okay? All right, next question. We just finished up payment fraud. That is a huge portion of what we see go on today. It's the classic, I know a guy, I've been offered this. I got a message that they're offering this. I just got one the other day on social media offering, art. They wanted to, draw a photo of my dog and offer payment. And what they're doing there is they're trying to get me to send them my account information so that I can accept that payment. But I've just then sent my account information to somebody that I don't know, and then it could be used for, right, untrustworthy actions. All right, we are rolling along, you guys. I do not see any questions coming through about that payment fraud. So let's keep moving along. Get you out. We're doing this at nighttime, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. So maybe I can get you guys to dinner on time. All right. So the next one, very common as well. And we're still seeing this again as fraudsters get better. We're trying to get better too. We, by all financial institutions, are battling these fraudsters, right? So this is when they're using either your stolen card or your stolen card credentials, so that number and things like that, to make purchases without your permission. Okay, this is different than if you were to give your son your card with your permission, knowing how much it was. Okay, this is without your permission. That can be considered fraud. So sometimes they're posing, as, again, a business, a friend, something like that. They're trying to get you to give them your card information. Again, if we don't know them, always question. Even here at the credit union, we say, we will not get offended if you go, hey, I do not want to give this information to you over the phone until I can fully verify you. We completely understand that, and we're proud of you for that, okay? So there's two types of card transactions that I want to talk about, or card fraud. One is card present fraud, and the other, in comparison, is when the card is not present. So let's start with card present fraud. This is when we have a face-to-face transaction at an ATM or a store. So how does this happen? Okay, so they are typically card copying is what this called, and making an actual counterfeit card. Sometimes they've stolen your information, your numbers from a skimmer or a scammer, right? That we hear about those, or shoulder surfing, looking over. I even heard a story, never thought about this one before, but standing in line next to somebody at the grocery store, could they take a picture and zoom in on that card number if they're able to get the front and back? I don't know. So another way is, what if your physical wallet and card gets stolen and they're using that card? We have great technology nowadays where if my phone, let me back up. My phone and my card are electronically linked. So actually my card won't work unless it shows that my phone is with me at that same location. So that's pretty neat. If I left my phone at home and went to the store, it would cause an alert saying, wait a minute, your card is over there, you're here. Is this you making this purchase? So that's pretty neat. It's even narrowing down to my location. So something to consider. Some prevention tips for card present fraud is use chip cards or cardless contact. Right now we have the tap to pay. Those are great options because you are lessening the chance of inserting your card to a skimmer or scammer, right? Or use your credit card. Okay, I love this option. We see, I'm sure there's statistics about it, but there's a lot of fraud that happens at a gas station. Unattended pumps can have skimmers and scammers on them. So actually, one of my biggest pieces of advice that I got from a fraud expert was, I always use my credit card at the gas station. Not just because it's a credit card, but it's giving me that extra level of comfort and security that if that card were to get skimmed, they're not taking the funds in my debit or my checking account, okay, which are right away usually the bread and butter money, right? So I usually use my credit card as a fraud prevention tip. Again, those contactless payments, try to use those as much as we can. Even the tap to pay on your phone, okay? Fraud and purchase alerts. Love those. Just as I was talking, I've linked mine to my location. I have Visa alert set up that every time I make a purchase over $1, I am notified. Every ATM transaction, every online transaction, I get notifications for. I like to know when my account's being used. Usually it's me, right? And I go, oh, there goes my electricity payment. And that's a nice little reminder too. And then again, ask your financial institution before acting. Are you nervous? If you're nervous, just wait, come in and talk to us. And maybe if you're nervous about that ATM, come in and talk to us and do your transaction inside. Totally okay, right? Action steps, if this were to happen to you, again, contact your financial institution so we can potentially look into it, lock that card, freeze that card. You may be filing a fraudulent dispute, and you want to do this as soon as you can. There's actually a time frame of when you'll want to get that dispute in with your financial institution and Visa. So we work together with them through that, your card issuers. And then check your account frequently, okay? Always monitor it just to make sure nothing else is coming through. And that's a good piece of advice anyway. So the card not present. So how do you buy something without a card? Let's talk about that. So this could happen if your information, gets compromised in mail, in an email, spoofing, data breaches, things like that. So somehow they've gotten your card information. Maybe it's even happened from shoulder surfing, like I said, taking a photo, but now they're using your card information online. Okay. So that's when we have card not present, is they just have the card numbers and information, and they're still making purchases online. Okay. So prevention tips, use trusted sites. We can look for that little lock on the search bar using trusted firewalls and prevention and security softwares on your computer is a great, piece of advice. But using trusted sites so that you're not giving your information out to an untrustworthy site, and now they have your card information to do untrustworthy things. So there's that secure icon lock. Look for inconsistencies in that website. Does it look normal? Is it too good to be true? Is it too good of a deal? They may be tempting you just to get your card information. So maybe that great deal ends up being not so great deal because you're actually getting charged more from those fraudulent charges. Okay, so look for inconsistencies. Consider PayPal or Visa or, those types of transactions for a third party. This is basically another layer for that card to go through, which makes it harder for the fraudsters to get to because they're encrypting each one of these transactions. So it's a little bit harder to get to. Set up those fraud alerts, check your online banking frequently. And again, always you can ask your financial institution if that website looks legitimate or something like that, okay? If, again, you have that happen, same steps here. Contact your financial institution right away. Greater Nevada even has a cards app where I can turn off my card right away, even if I think something looks a little fishy. And then if it looks okay, I can turn it right back on. So if your financial institution has something like that, highly recommend. Again, you guys, we are rolling along. I do not see any questions. Any questions on card fraud?
Not at this time.
All righty, rolling along. Thank you guys. I hope this is good information. All right, so we're getting down to our very last one. And then if there are questions at the end, we will have some extra time. But I think I am going to get you to dinner or to the rest of your night a little bit early. So let's talk about social engineering. This again is kind of, I know a guy, but this is when somebody's pretending to be someone else or a business. Okay. And they're trying to earn your trust to get into there. Sometimes this can be a phone call, it can be a text message, it can be an email, right? Hurry, click now, answer this, open this document. Or those, we're getting a lot of phone calls of, hi, I am so-and-so pretending to be so-and-so from so-and-so pretend business. And I'm calling for this fake thing that I'm going to convince you of. And now I'm going to try to convince you to give me my information. So we see those phone calls all the time, right? And I think we're getting really better about not just trusting who's on the other side of that phone. So let's look at some examples of social engineering. Remember, this can happen probably in person or online. Spoofing. So this is copying or imitating a website, a phone number, or an online profile. So a website, I am pretending to be a website and you are thinking that I'm legitimate and now you're going to make a purchase and now they have your card information. So looking for those inconsistencies, spelling errors, who is the owner of the page or the email? Okay, if they're sending an email, is it somebody you recognize? Is the email of the business even spelled correctly? Is there odd character placement? Are things uneven? Lots of things can look wrong. We just need to be looking for them very, very closely. Is the website spelled correctly? Is it google.com or is it Google spelled with 3 O's.com? So it could be very, very minuscule, but make sure we're looking for those details. Phishing, those are those fraud emails. Hurry, click on this link, open this email. Biggest thing I'm telling you, look for those inconsistencies as well, but see who that email is sent from. Is it that legitimate business, or is it from somebody that we don't know? I'll give you a great example. My mom just got a phishing email and it said, hurry up, you've registered for, I think it was Geek Squad. You've made this payment, $500 payment to Geek Squad. Open this link to see your receipt. This was a classic phishing email, and we clicked on who the email was from, and it certainly wasn't from Geek Squad. It was from some random name that we didn't recognize. So that was a dead giveaway. One, no, my mom didn't purchase Geek Squad. Two, definitely wasn't coming from Geek Squad themselves. Okay, so look at that email. Smishing. This is when that happens over a phone call, voicemail, or text message, typically a text message, right? Hi, we see a lot of this. Anybody could be pretending to be even a financial institution, right? Like I said before, hurry up, your account at so-and-so has been compromised. You maybe even don't have an account there, right? That would be a dead giveaway. Click on this link. But even if you did have that, we need to be really careful that it's legitimately coming from your financial institution. Again, ask your financial institution if you're unsure about it before clicking or opening anything, okay? Spamming. We are just sending you tons of junk emails, tons of junk text messages, calls, all of this. This is happening all over. So again, just be wary. Do not click on links. Do not open things. Do not share your personal information if it's over the phone. Again, they're typically trying to earn your trust, or they're getting to have you act with urgency by either instilling fear or excitement. You've won this prize. You have 10 seconds to click on this link to win $1 million. I'm just making these up, but these are the type of examples of trying to get you excited to click on that link to redeem your prize, or instilling fear by hurry up, fraud has happened, click on this link. All right, so some prevention tips. Before I go into action steps, those are important too, but prevention tips: stay calm, control, don't act right away, take a look closer and look for those inconsistencies, right? I kind of like think of putting a magnifying glass up. Be your little own detective. Ask more questions, find out more. I love those phone calls, right? They should be able to answer things with confidence, but even then, we don't know who they are, so just take it with some prevention, okay? Think before acting and don't share your personal information. Okay, some action steps. Again, stay calm, stay in control. This is your money. There is nothing wrong with wanting to protect your money or your assets or your personal information, okay? Again, if you do that, anyone typically legitimate is not going to get angry, and we're going to be calm and walk you through that, okay, and get you to reassure. Again, if you're unsure, hang up. That's a great step. If you are just unsure, don't reply to that email, don't reply to that text message, or just simply hang up the phone. Contact your financial institution if you have any questions, okay? I remember I had one member, and immediately when we hung up the phone, because we clearly knew it was fraud, got lots of calls back with threatening language. So that was a dead giveaway. As soon as I'm hanging up and ending the possibility of them getting my information, they're becoming angry. So a red flag there, right? All right, we had just finished up our last form or common form of scams and schemes with social engineering. Is there any questions on that? I think we covered kind of all of it. The phone calls you get. I think that's one question I had on this, and maybe I pause here. There are, again, as fraudsters are getting trickier and smarter, and they're getting new technology, so is everyone else. But right, we do have those phone calls where even they're recording your voice if you speak to them, and then they're using that with AI technology and things like that to make it sound like your voice on the other side of the phone. So even just speaking to them can now be too dangerous. So again, try to hang up. All right, let me see if we have any questions. Nope, looks good. Thank you so much for your comments in the chat. All right, you guys, so we are summarizing with some fraud prevention tips and some action steps as you end for the rest of the night. So first, number one, stay calm and in control. This is your personal information. This is your life. This is your safety, assets, money. There's nothing wrong with taking control, okay, and making sure you're safe. So look closer for those inconsistencies, those spelling errors. Do things look skewed? Is it just not right? Or is it in your gut, okay? Always monitor your accounts frequently, and if you can, sign up for those alerts, okay? That helps me even with my monitoring. I don't necessarily have to log in because I can see everything that's coming through my account because I get a text message for it. And think before acting, okay? Again, they're trying to get you to act on fear or excitement. So just pause and stay calm and control and think before you act. Generally, all across the board, refrain from sharing our personal information, okay? Just don't leave it out. Don't write it down. Shredding our documents and personal information and our mail properly, even those pre-approvals we get in the mail, can be used and have our personal information on it. So make sure we're shredding those properly. And use proper protection on your PC, your computer, right? So firewall, virus protection, kind of mentioned those before. That'll help with some of that online stuff. And last one, contact your financial institution and your creditors if you need to. Your financial institution's always going to be here. Like I said, we're always happy to walk you through and make you feel comfortable and take a second look with you, whether it's for reassurance that, yes, it was fraud, or reassurance that you're okay on this one. All right. So don't be afraid to ask questions. That goes along with your creditors too, right? Do we check, how often do you check your credit report? Do you want to place a freeze on your credit? All right, so summarizing some tips to walk away with. If you are with Greater Nevada Credit Union and you see transactions that you just don't recognize, or even ones that you do, you can actually do disputes with us. And this is a very easy process. So here on the board, you can call our fraud hotline, or you can actually log in to your online banking or go to our website, and I think it's the 3 ellipses, right? Those 3 dots right next to that transaction. You can automatically hit dispute and start that process. Also pause before you do that. Recommend, if it is not a transaction you recognize, freeze and shut down that card. Contact your financial institution. All right. And if you're not with Greater Nevada, same steps that you would be taking. You're going to contact your financial institution. They're going to take a deeper look, see if they need to freeze or shut off that card, and then they're going to walk you through this dispute process with your card issuer. So same thing. All righty, you guys, we are getting to the end here, and I appreciate your time so much. So thank you for walking through this with me. But I don't want to leave you empty-handed. We will be giving you some free resources and tools regarding fraud, scam prevention. Okay, so look for that in your email. Along at Greater Nevada, if you scan this QR code, this is going to take you to our free financial institution, or excuse me, free financial resources on our website that our institution offers. One of these is our free financial counseling. Many different topics offered in other languages. And I'll be sending you some links of podcasts, videos, articles, and some worksheets and things like that. So if you are interested in attending more of these webinars, here is our schedule coming up. We are finishing up March now, and next month we're going to start diving into debt management. And then in June, we will be recycling all of these topics. So if you missed us for the first half of the year, you can absolutely catch us for the second half of the year. And again, with that, help us plan our 2025 topics. Scan this QR code. Let us know what you want to learn more of. Okay, and so I will leave that there for a little bit. And with that, you guys, we have made it to our end. So I just want to say thank you guys so much that made it to this Greater Financial Wellbeing webinar. Congratulate yourselves and give yourselves a pat on the back for taking steps towards bettering your financial well-being and working on your financial goals. If you would like to know more, we'll be sending out a follow-up email with some more information regarding this topic. And then for some more wellness resources, like we saw on that QR code, you can view this webinar again and other items on our website at gncu.org. With that, I will leave you to your night, and I hope you have a greater day.